Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3. You know, from time to time I like to ponder the universe. And like all physicists say, you know, everything is falling. And the falling keeps the Earth in orbit because of the attraction to the sun. And everything is falling because of gravity. But I would like to point out that there is something on Earth that is not falling because of gravity. And you know the expression, you can't see the forest for the trees. And I'd like to point out that trees are not falling, they're growing up. So trees are defying gravity and growing up, as well as all kinds of plants, growing up towards the sun. There's a mystery there. And you might say, oh, well, you know, there's cellular things growing, expanding, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, well, maybe the universe is growing and expanding because it's a living thing. What about that? That's something to ponder right there. So, if the universe is expanding, all galaxies are flying apart from each other, and if the universe is contained by some common container, I mean, that's the only way you can have a vacuum is if you have a container. So maybe eventually all the galaxies will fly to the inside wall of the container, and they'll all be stuck on the inside wall of the container, and then what? And then what? And I was watching a program on TV where the guy said, the physicist professor said, that we could be a black hole inside somebody else's universe, which is an interesting thought. But other physicists say, well, there's a lot of bubble universes side by side, you know, in all the directions three-dimensionally. And I kind of agree with that theory. Of course, everything is theoretical because nobody really knows, so one theory is as good as any other theory. And perhaps instead of a big bang, we had a big exhaust where one bubble universe was so full that it just exhausted into the next bubble universe that wasn't so full. But my question is, are trees defying gravity? And why do they grow towards the sun? I mean, you've probably seen trees that are bent over, pointing towards the sun, like big tall palm trees. And even if you watch plants growing, they'll have a tendency to snake around and head for the sun. And people say, well, that's because of photosynthesis. But, you know, how does a plant know, or a tree know, which direction to grow? Mostly upward. You know, when you plant a seed and you put some water on it, and eventually something grows out of it, that's a biological mystery. You know, I don't think anyone can explain that. So if you take a look around at the forest and the trees, you'll see that everything is growing upward and defying gravity. So extrapolating from that, you'd have to say that our universe is a living thing and it's growing in all directions because there's no central sun that we can see out there beyond the walls of our universe, the container that contains this universe, in order to maintain the vacuum. And a friend of mine once said, well, maybe the black holes in our universe are the vacuum cleaners that maintain the vacuum. So when Einstein said that there's really no straight line, that everything is curved, including space-time, which I don't believe in space-time, I don't think there is any time. I think it's the same time everywhere in the universe. Maybe nobody told the trees about that fact. So I'd like to point out that time is simply a measurement. It's a man-made abstract concept to measure duration between things that are happening for convenience sake. And you cannot travel through an abstract concept, so there can't be any time travel, in my opinion. Otherwise, there'd be time travelers here now. But since gravity is instantaneous, there might be gravity travelers. However, Einstein said that gravity was dependent on mass, so it's very confusing, I'm sure. But if you could travel on a gravity wave, then you would probably aim at the biggest mass and end up right there. Now, if you had the proper equipment, you might survive. Nevertheless, I would like to point out that trees are defying gravity. But then somebody might say, oh, well, you know, they're just falling towards the sun because that's a giant mass. Well, that's another thought. So somebody can come out with, you know, the real reason why plants and trees are defying gravity. I would like to hear it. I would like to see your video response or your comment.